all of the geopolitical events that you are seeing right now around the world are in response to the massive upswing in the violence that always follows the socially justice tut-tuttery that was the marker of the late 20-aughts and the 2010s, where we would simply say, actually, you can't say that some cultures are bad and that some cultures who say they want to kill people, you can't actually. You know what's really valuable? Diversity and friendship. And that really, if you just tell someone who, thinks it's good to behead people, that they need to follow your culture, that's like super duper ultra racist, that kind of, that kind of thing. So after a decade of that, a lot of countries around the world are responding directly to the violence that flows right in. The violence that flows right in. So on Friday, I shared with those on this show that after watching the United Kingdom's Transport Secretary, Heidi Alexander, call on Keir Starmer to step down, that was it. He was going to go, he was going to take the weekend, and he was going to resign. And the reason was because the Labour Party is hemorrhaging. The Labour Party, the premier leftist party of the United Kingdom, is in serious, serious trouble. Because Keir Starmer essentially did the middle-aged leftist woman tut-tuttering and made it his entire personality. And then he would turn around and he would gaslight everyone and claim he was doing the exact opposite. So you would see a violent murder or a violent series of sexual assaults or human trafficking, or you would see mass theft and arson and looting and all other kinds of Islamic fundamentalist violence or just standard third world fundamentalist violence. And Keir Starmer would go out and say, the important thing to know is that we're all in England, and I will continue as the Prime Minister to make sure that no one is being racist towards these precious, wonderful people. And that didn't work. And so in local elections, the Labour Party lost what is one of the most severe, just one of the greatest electoral shellackings in decades for a party on the local level. And so there were certain individuals like Andy Burnham in the Labour Party who was kind of rising through the ranks saying, we got to get rid of this guy or the Conservatives are going to take over, or even worse, the Reform Party. Oh no, the Reform Party, again, as Rupert Lowe published the very detailed and disturbing dossier on the same kinds of mass Islamic violence that Keir Starmer openly defended, and as prosecutor released individuals back out on the street without so much as I better not do that, mate. So that brings us over to today. Keir Starmer had trundled up in front. I woke up this morning to find this news, and did I giggle? No, I didn't giggle. President Trump, however, yesterday, I will say before we get to this, I don't think I have this loaded in the B-roll footage. Do I? I do. He said, Keir Starmer will resign as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He failed badly on two important subjects, immigration and energy, in parentheses, open North Sea oil. And then, I wish him well, President DJT. And the President of the United States kind of taking a victory lap here. Keir Starmer is not resigning just because of energy. The Labour Party is not actually pushing anything forward. Just like Canada with Mark Carney, you're not actually seeing any Labour policies that are for turning on the lights at home. But that's not really why they're being cast out. And the Labour Party really hasn't figured that out yet, if they ever will. But anywho, Keir Starmer got up in front of the country and in the most depressed Eeyore tones possible, he's like, I'm leaving, but I'm going to be something even better. A father, a husband, and a good friend to my wife's boyfriend. Here's Keir Starmer.
And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.
I love it. I do. Straight into my veins. Now he, again, this is the very emotional kind of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, getting a very clear message from the people. I mean, say what it is that you will about Donald Trump, but when Donald Trump makes a decision that is unpopular, things usually don't stick in that vein for very long. Even on the tariffs thing, for example. The president is kind of pulled away from some things that are considered economically not as thrilling to many Americans. Now, again, in the Rust Belt, that's kind of a different question. We will get there. But first, Keir Starmer couldn't get away without doing the old Joe Biden and Barack Obama style gaslighting, which is where he says, actually, I was quite good. People just didn't understand. It's just like Star Wars. And so after the Star Wars sequel trilogy came out and they were universally hated, then it came out, people just didn't understand what we were trying to do. It's because people are sexist and mean. Here's Keir Starmer giving that a go.
6 years ago, I inherited a Labour Party that was politically, financially, and morally bankrupt.
That's a serious thing to say about your party, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I really enjoy, as much as the next guy, watching a complete toddler throw down his toys and leave because he sucks at his job. Tucker Carlson would be a great example of this. Announced he's leaving the GOP today because he's awful at any kind of anything outside of, click whoring. But in the meantime, Keir Starmer here, he's trying the same thing. He's like, I inherited a party that was sad. No one was at Chuck E. Cheese's, and I vowed to do something about it.
I was told time and time again that my party was finished.
And it just lost more seats than I believe the Labour Party has in local elections since the 60s.
They were consigned to history, that a majority at the general election, let alone a landslide majority, was impossible. But we proved those people wrong.
Yeah, you sure did. Now he got up and he has his success record. Here you go.
Hotels closing, protecting young people from social media, and 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty because of the choices that I made.
Yep. So there's like, I defended children, unless they are, again, the 250,000 young English women who were systematically targeted, abused, trafficked, raped, and again, just as the testimonies show, as numerous cases show, Keir Starmer's government refused to investigate any of it at all whatsoever. And of course, here in the United States, a lot of that has received next to no funding. And again, you may notice on the views for the show this very evening that things are a little on the low side, because there are several videos on the broader social media sphere that, when mentioning this story, just so happened to get shut a little bit down. So what's next? Is Keir Starmer actually in this current position? Are we actually seeing Keir Starmer step down and like conservatives or the Reform Party take over? No. A formal contest will officially begin in early July to replace Starmer. This with former Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham as the clear frontrunner to succeed as the leader of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom. Now, Burnham actually had a response. So everyone's saying, oh man, the Keir Starmer thing is over. That was a close one. And it just so happens that Andy Burnham is, again, he's from the Labour Party. The Labour Party has not lost in the actual parliamentary elections yet. So Andy Burnham got up and gave an announcement, said, Keir has given a huge service to our country, and I want to thank him for his leadership and dedication during such a challenging period. So further on down, he says, as we move forward, our priority must be to work together to get the country back to where we all want it to be. People want to see progress on economic growth, cost of living, public services, housing opportunities for the next generation. By the way, what that means is government-funded housing continuing for migrants in the UK.